From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, I'm Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Wednesday, March 1st. The start of the month is going to be fantastic. Temperatures will quickly ramp up into the afternoon with lots of sunshine. Highs are going to soar into the upper 60s to low 70s. We're going to be really close to a record high of 71 set back in 1976. Some cloud cover will partially increase tonight with a few showers possible. And this comes after the National Weather Service does confirm 2 tornadoes touched down this week in Hancock County. They both happened Monday afternoon. The first, 3 miles southeast of McCordsville. It touched down at 1:28 and was on the ground for 5 minutes with wind speeds of 110 miles per hour, damaging buildings and snapping trees. The service says the second tornado touched down 7 minutes later east of Ingalls. The agency says it was on the ground for about 2 minutes with 100 mile per hour wind and did damage similar to the first. Millions of student loan borrowers now wait for a decision on whether their debt will be forgiven. Supreme Court justices heard oral arguments over President Biden's student debt relief plan for 3 hours yesterday. Conservative justices appeared skeptical of Biden's plan to cancel $400 billion in debt. Chief Justice John Roberts led his colleagues in questioning whether it was an overreach of executive power.
Most casual observers would say if you're going to give up that much amount of money, if you're going to affect the obligations of that many Americans on a subject that's of great controversy, they would think that's something for Congress to act on. And if they haven't acted on it, then maybe that's a good lesson to say for the president or the administrative bureaucracy that maybe that's not something they should undertake on their own.
According to the Biden administration, 26 million people have applied for the program. 16 million have been approved. The High Court will give its ruling by the end of this session, which is the last week of June. Indiana is one vote closer to banning gender-affirming treatments for anyone under 18. The state Senate approved the measure, sending it to the House just ahead of a deadline that would have killed the bill. The issue prompted vocal protests at a hearing last week. The legislation would ban any kind of gender transition treatment for people younger than 18, including hormone therapy or surgery. It includes exceptions for people who are intersex and those who need hormonal therapy for other medical conditions. The Senate passed it on a 36-12 vote. The General Assembly has hit a key point in the session. All bills must have passed one chamber at this point to continue, and will have to pass the other by the third week of April to move toward law. Indiana's top leaders are sounding off about the decision to bring toxic waste from the Ohio train derailment to a Putnam County landfill. Governor Holcomb says there's been a lack of communication from the EPA. He says he learned about it third hand and wants the waste to stay in Ohio. As we reported yesterday on Wish TV, the waste is planned to go to the Heritage Environmental Services landfill in Putnam County. That's only 3 miles east of Russellville. 100 trucks filled with 2,000 tons of toxic soil from Ohio will be dumped in the landfill. Heritage says they already follow strict regulations from the federal government. They told us the landfill is qualified to handle the toxic waste, which will go through final testing before being approved to come here. Once on site, it will be kept in a double-lined storage area to prevent any leaks into the local water supply. The landfill manager says he and his family are confident it's safe.
I live within a mile of the landfill. My home site has a freshwater well, and I have no concerns about anything leaching out of the landfill because the way it's designed, monitored, and kept.
Well, I was comfortable with that material coming here, knowing that it's going to be handled properly.
The last person you heard from was the county commissioner. While he's comfortable with the plan to bring the waste there, state leaders are not. Governor Holcomb demanded in a statement, "I want to know exactly what precautions will be taken in the transport and disposition of the materials." Senator Mike Braun blames the Biden administration, saying it mishandled this disaster from day one. He goes on to say in a statement, any material from this disaster being transferred to Indiana overseen by this Biden EPA is seriously concerning. A Congresswoman, Erin Houchin, said, "I strongly oppose bringing these hazardous materials through or around the 9th District or to our neighboring Indiana communities, particularly when we have not been given any information about safety protocols taken to protect the public." If this toxic waste is approved to come to Indiana, the landfill company tells us it will stay there forever. $2 million in federal funding will go towards a plan that would put I-65, I-70 underground in downtown Indianapolis. It's part of the Reconnecting Communities program and is one of 45 projects across the country receiving funding. The Rethink I-65-70 Coalition wants to redesign the downtown interstates to make them recessed. The group believes the change will help renew communities they believe have been shut off from economic opportunities by the interstates. Today marks 1 month from a deadline that threatens the health insurance of thousands of children and adults in Indiana. April 1st, a federal pandemic measure starts phasing out. Since March of 2020, it has sent states extra money for Medicaid and encouraged more people to enroll. Starting next month, Indiana will begin reviewing the eligibility of everyone in the program, and many may no longer qualify. Coverage won't end immediately. It could take the state up to a year to review the eligibility. To Du Bois County, where a wildlife expert says he's not surprised by the killing of a young bald eagle. Conservation officers are looking for the suspect and offering a $500 reward for information leading to an arrest. The DNR found the eagle shot to death along a busy road near Jasper on Saturday. Officers think the eagle was eating on the ground at the time. Daniel Borrett is the executive director of the Indiana Wildlife Federation. He says bald eagles have made a great comeback in Indiana and calls the killing disheartening.
We don't always know why people feel the need to shoot all sorts of animals for really no reason other than to kill them. Obviously, we are in a state with a lot of hunting. That's one thing. You hunt for food, you hunt for sport, but shooting a bald eagle on the side of the road is just malice.
It is a federal crime to kill a bald eagle. Convictions can carry up to a year in prison and a $100,000 fine. Indiana University has halted all activities of the sorority Alpha Phi. The school cites endangering others, alcohol, and hazing. IU Student Affairs Department website shows the school late last week placed Alpha Phi on cease and desist. The school uses that kind of restriction in cases of immediate threats or ongoing investigations. All chapter activities are on hold until further notice. IU also has put 2 fraternities on cease and desist this school year, Zeta Beta Tau and Theta Chi. Police in northern Greece say a station master is now in custody after 2 trains collided, killing at least 38 people. This was breaking news coming in this morning. Police identified the suspect only as a 59-year-old man. Police say they detained 2 other people for questioning. At least 36 people died when a train carrying hundreds of people crashed into a freight train last night. It happened as the passengers' train emerged from a highway underpass. Multiple cars derailed, and at least 3 burst into flames. Authorities say it's not yet clear what caused the crash or what charges the station master may face. Indiana State Police are issuing a warning about phone scams. The department says it's gotten several reports of people pretending to be troopers. Investigators say the calls come in with a caller ID that appears to be from a department number, from someone who identifies himself or herself as a trooper and tells whoever answers the call that they have pending drug charges in Texas. Then the scammer says the person will be arrested if they don't make a payment. State police say you should ignore unsolicited calls from unknown callers or just hang up if something seems wrong. You should also not give out any personal information. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot will not get a second term. Voters ousted the incumbent in yesterday's election, making her the first Chicago mayor to lose a re-election bid in 40 years. No candidate got the majority vote, so the race will head to a runoff between Paul Vallis and Brandon Johnson. Vallis is the former CEO of Chicago Public Schools. Chicago's police union backs him. Johnson is a Cook County commissioner endorsed by the Chicago Teachers Union. The runoff is set for April 4th. Kobe Bryant's widow has reached a settlement with Los Angeles County over the photos shared from the scene of the helicopter crash that killed 9 people, including the NBA superstar and his daughter. It's a nearly $30 million agreement. Deputies took and shared pictures of the aftermath of the helicopter crash. Bryant and a man whose wife and child both died sued and won. County leaders say the new agreement ends any current or future claims. Chris Rock is set to talk about last year's moment of Oscars infamy when Will Smith slapped Rock on stage. Rock has alluded to the slap in stand-up performances over the past year, but a new Netflix special promises to be the first time he addresses it at a length. The show is called Chris Rock Selective Outrage. It comes out Saturday. American Airlines is making a change to its policies on family seating. The airline says it will guarantee children 14 and younger can sit next to an accompanying adult. The issue has taken center stage since being mentioned during President Biden's State of the Union address. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg announced a special dashboard will be published next week. It will show which airlines have similar guarantees at no extra cost. To the Pacers, the team clinches 2 in a row on the road. Finally, with a victory over the Mavericks, the game took Miles Turner to his hometown of Dallas. Pacers had a 10-point lead going into the second half. Dallas took over in the third, but the Pacers roared back. In part due to a huge moment of the game, Tyrese Halliburton had a great dunk, got the foul. He'd finished with 32 points on his birthday. Pacers win 124-122. And the team continues a 4-game road trip tomorrow with a matchup against the Spurs at 8:30. And today, the Big Ten women's basketball tournament tips off in Minneapolis. Neither IU or Purdue will play today. The Boilermakers enter the tournament as the 7th seed with a matchup against 10th-seeded Wisconsin. That's tomorrow at 5:30. If they win, they'll take on the 2-seed Iowa Hawkeyes Friday at 5:30. The number 1 seeded Hoosiers will have to wait until Friday morning at 11:30 for their first game. They take on the winner of a game between 8th-seeded Nebraska and 9th-seeded Michigan State. And after one of the most exciting road wins of the season, the IU men's basketball falls hard at home at Assembly Hall. The team came up short when they played the Iowa Hawkeyes last, and this time wasn't any different. Iowa scored first and often in the game. Hawkeyes left Bloomington with a final score 90-68. Our Angela Morian has reaction from the Hoosiers after the loss.
From an incredible high to a stunning low in a matter of just 72 hours. The number 15 Indiana Hoosiers were upset by unranked Iowa 90-68 in Assembly Hall tonight. That 22-point loss is tied for the worst for this season for the Hoosiers. It was a complete defensive breakdown for IU. The Hoosiers allowed Iowa 56% from the field, 13 threes for the Hawkeyes. Head coach Mike Woodson was pretty candid about his displeasure after the game.
Not real happy. We left our game in West Lafayette, and it's just unacceptable the way we played tonight. I apologize to our fans. I'm the coach. I got to get them ready to play. And that was a performance tonight.
It was just a full meltdown of our defensive game plan, and they exploited it, and they took advantage of it, and they hit shots. So credit to them. Obviously, after the game last weekend, and then coming back and doing this, it's not what we stand for. And obviously, yeah, everyone's upset. There's not much to be said. We just got to come in tomorrow and come in Thursday and work.
One positive you can take away from this, Trace Jackson-Davis is now the all-time leader in rebounds for IU. He had 13 tonight in his double-double performance. He says it's time to wash this loss away and focus on Michigan. The Hoosiers will close out the regular season right here against the Wolverines on Sunday. For now in Bloomington, I'm Angela Morian for Wish TV, WishTV.com, and follow us on Facebook.
And today, a sure sign of spring. Tickets go on sale for the Indianapolis Indians games. The box office opens at 10 this morning. Opening day at Victory Field is 30 days away. Finally, to business headlines. Stubbornly high gas prices that have been crimping household budgets for months are starting to tumble. In some states like South Carolina, prices have fallen below $3 a gallon. The national gas price average hit $3.33 a gallon on Monday, down more than 4 cents from a week ago. That's according to Gas Buddy. AAA says the current price in central Indiana is $3.19 a gallon. A month ago, it was $3.28. Twitter rolled out a new policy on violent speech that prohibits threats, wishes of harm, incitement of violence, and glorification of violence. Users who violate Twitter's violent speech policy may have accounts suspended, be required to delete content. CEO Elon Musk is trying to balance free speech with advertisers' desire for non-controversial content. Nearly 3/4 of people worry their local police department could be overwhelmed in an emergency like extreme weather or domestic terror attack. Mark 43, a mission-critical public safety software company, found with an uptick in significant weather and other disruptive events such as power grid failures, massive droughts, and unseasonal hurricanes, nearly 3/4 of Americans worry their local agency could be overwhelmed during an emergency. And finally, Girl Scout cookie fans out there, if your favorite is the Samoa, you might be in trouble. One of the favorite Girl Scout cookie brands it's harder to get this year. You can blame the supply chain. Some troops say they are having limited supplies of the Samoas. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand for even more on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.